All right, welcome all. I'm doing another reading series video of like readings that I do, although the other one was I'm not doing Dream Rave right now. But these are astrocartography readings. I've done these for about 15 years, and I like to follow the style and the method of Robert Coteau. He did transcendental astrocartography. He had a book which he wrote, and it's called Transcendental Astrocartography. I have it over there. It's out of print, so I should ask him about that. I've been meaning to ask him if he was going to reprint it or not. I'm gonna have to ask him. But in the meantime, this is a sample chart, so you guys can see what I do for the astrocartography. It's the reading where, and I charge a lot for it because it's a lot of work. Look at the chart right here. We got the chart right here. And then I'll do something called tables, and maybe I'll show you that in a minute. That's not something that I pulled up. Let me press pause and let me pull it up so that I can show you guys that too. Okay, it looks like we've resumed. I had to find some stuff. So what I'm going to go over for you guys so you can see is how I do the astrocartography readings. I took off my rings. So this is Ra Uru Hu, founder of human design. This is his chart. We know he's a double Aries, year of the rat, April 9th, 12:05 a.m. Montreal, Canada. And he's got all that activity in the eighth. And he's got Uranus in the sixth, Venus in the fifth. Ooh, Venus in the fifth. No wonder he was such a star. And well, his Aries down in the third, his sun and his moon. There's his double um, Aries. So anyway, so we're going to look at his astrocartography chart. And let me go ahead and pull up a different image. We're going to go, I'm going to give you guys, this is from astro.com. Oh, it's really hard to see if I'm sharing. Okay, hopefully you guys can see this. This is a world map, and hopefully you can see this clearly. You see all the lines, there's all these lines and stuff. And there are different colors to be symbolic representations of the planets. Now, the planets are going to have usually there's going to be four variations of each planet. That's why there's so many lines. And that'll be the four angles of the chart, which stand for the first, the fourth, the seventh, and the 10th. And the first is you, your presentation to the world. The seventh is partnerships or other people. The 10th is the stage of the world, your career. And the IC, the fourth house, that's your home. And so, as an overt generalization, those are the planets which would symbolize that area of your life relative to that where those lines are. And so that's the first thing. The second layering is going to be which planets actually are beneficial to you. So I'm going to stop this share and I'm going to show you how I come to that conclusion. I don't know if it's working because now it's showing me something different. Okay, hopefully you guys are seeing this screen here. This has the planets and it has their particular degrees as well as their speed, latitude, declination, and list over here the ascendant and all the degrees of the houses. So what I look at here is if you go here, I use a particular orb system that I'm not going to share right now, of course. I keep my secrets for now. And what I do is I figure out which of the planets has a least aspected planetary signature. And what that means is that's a certain amount of major aspects, minor aspects, and aspects to the angles. And so, for example, if you look at all this activity around the sun, a conjunction with the moon, 3 degrees, a trine with Mars, 0 degrees, a trine with Saturn, 3 degrees, a sextile to Uranus, 3 degrees. I mean, this guy was not a least aspected sun. In fact, he was probably a most aspected sun. I don't know how comfortable he was in his body. Uh, he was in the drugs. We know that was a challenge for him. Moon, let's see. Moon has a lot of aspects too. Mercury, a lot of aspects, more than two. So what we're looking for are the planets that don't have that many aspects, that are not as stressed out, where the geometry is less. And that would be his transcendental planets. So we could easily see here, I don't know that he has, to be honest, any transcendental planets. You could see all this activity. There's so much geometry. I wonder that I think all of his planets are over aspected to some degree. Yeah, I don't see anything with less than two. Every planet looks like it has two or more. Maybe Venus with its aspect to Mercury. The other aspects are minors here. The quintile is minor. The trine to Uranus is kind of wide at 6 degrees. So we could say Venus was his least aspected. So we'll go with that for an example. And it's probably true. I don't see any other planet even possibly least aspected. So we'll go with that. Ra's least aspected planet is Venus. And now I go, well, we can go to this map here now, right? Let's see. Maybe not yet. Let's go to this one. Okay, so then we go to this map, and I'm going to see if I can make it so you guys can see it. For larger size, click on image. Okay. Okay, there we go. So it's a little bigger. So hopefully you guys can see all the different planetary lines that occurred at the moment of his birth. So these are imprints. And you see right here, and I'm going to look at where he lived and where he traveled to. He was in Sedona, I think, for a while, or somewhere here in the southwest. And Arizona is pretty neutral. There's no planets there. The closest might be this yellow sun line. I think uh-oh, pressed the wrong button. Okay. It looks like, is that a sun line? No, that's his Venus. And that's his Venus descendant. I have no idea where he met his wife, but with that least aspected Venus, he might have met her on somewhere on this line. It's his descendant. And that's kind of sweet to have a Venus descendant, least aspected, that he can visit or go to. And so it's hitting New Mexico as well. I think he was in New Mexico as well. And so that's pretty cool. I like that for him. And we knew he grew up in Canada, and Montreal's over here, somewhere near that sun line, moon line, Neptune. I think there's a lot there. I don't know exactly where Montreal is. I think right about there. So, and there's just lines everywhere. It looks like a high impactive zone. Uh, I think we call it a zone of intensity in astrocartography. Too many lines, a very stressful area. And so it could have made sense why he got the hell out of there as soon as it did. He did pretty late, but he got out of there. If we come over here to Spain, we go to here, Ibiza. You see the island here? That's where he lived the last 20 or so years of his life. And there's a Neptune on the descendant. That's not too far. And on this side, there's a Jupiter on the coast of Spain. I don't know if this little speck here is actually Ibiza. I think Ibiza might be much closer to the coast of Spain, like over here. And if so, it would have been close to his Mercury on the ascendant line. And so fascinating, fascinating stuff. And so that's what I would do. I would say, okay, you got a Venus least aspected. Let's say, okay, let's see where all the Venus lines are. And so in this chart, they're all yellow. And so we see there's one going through all the way down the Atlantic Ocean from Greenland. And there's islands in the way. I mean, no one's going to recommend you go live on an island or go live somewhere in the middle of the sea. That's impossible. So we're looking at it with common sense. We're looking at it, where is it somewhere that you could possibly live? Is it a stable country? Questions like that. That Venus I see is not far from Brazil. I wonder if he ever visited Brazil. Maybe he did. You see the Venus AC here going through Saudi Arabia, through the Middle East. Is that the Middle East? Yeah, Middle East. Up to Turkey, through Eastern Europe, through Iceland, and that's the one that curves and goes around to Arizona, New Mexico, Texas area. And let's see, any other? I think there's another one here. That's Venus on the MC, and it goes down through Australia and some other areas by Indonesia there, Japan, and yeah, so that hopefully gives you guys an idea of what I would do for you in astrocartography. There's a little more, and I'll show you one additional chart that's really interesting. I'll stop share this one and I'll share. Now this is on my Astro Gold software. I mean, this looks like a mess. You can see all the horizontal lines now. Those are called, I don't know how to pronounce it correctly necessarily. I think it's Parans. I forget how other astrologers um, address it, but you could see like you can see the mostly vertical planetary lines in all the angles, but you can barely see like look at all these parent lines. These are all horizontal and going across. So if we wanted to see, okay, where did Ra like live the last couple years of his life? Okay, so Ibiza, Spain. So let's see if we can center and go here to Ibiza. Let's see how accurate we were from that wide map. And I was talking about that Neptune going down through that open area on the eastern side of Madrid and Barcelona. And I think Ibiza would be right around there. So that would be close to the Mercury line, like I was saying. And, but kind of neutral. I mean, not that close, maybe within 300 miles, maybe not. And for a line to have effect, you're looking at 300 miles. For a Paran to have effect, you're usually looking at 50 miles, if I'm remembering correctly, 100 or 50 miles. And let's look at any Paran lines. Not really. He's kind of neutral to the Paran lines. But there's one here that's it's more southern. It's close to Algiers. Or we could pick, maybe he went to Barcelona. You know, Barcelona is not far from the island. Let's look at that line. So Barcelona here, he has a Uranus setting and the moon anti-culminating. So it's the Paran latitude of 41 degrees. So parons are the latitudinal lines as opposed to the longitudinal lines of the planetary astrocartography, or to the angles that will usually come down or move more vertically. And I don't know if you guys can see it. I just clicked it for the interpretation. It might not show, so I'll just read it. Under this influence, you are a resourceful, inventive, and independent person. You may enjoy the unconventional side of life and need excitement. This is an excellent combination for helping you out of an emotional rut, for it gives you the energy to break out. You will show the willful side of your nature if forced to conform, but if left to your own devices, will come up with some original and innovative ideas for how to live your own life. Therefore, this is a good combination if you are seeking new frontiers, particularly in intellectual pursuit. So, Uranus moon, kind of unconventional possibilities of excitement and breaking out of stuck patterns for Ra. And maybe he went to Barcelona. I don't remember that. He's mostly in Ibiza. But if he did, it would have been some fun Uranian energy for him. And so that's how the parons work. I don't know if we can get any deeper. Let's see. Oh yeah, we can get even closer. So hopefully you guys can see this. So here are the paron lines. So he had no paron line exactly where Ibiza was, and I'm guessing Ibiza was right around here. But when he went up to Barcelona, he had that Uranus moon line. And if he did go down to Sevilla or Malaga, there were Jupiter sun lines, a Saturn Venus, and a Uranus Neptune. And these lines have additional meanings. So we're almost looking at a grid, like we're looking astrocartography is like looking at a grid, what the vertical planetary lines are sharing and what the horizontal paron lines of the planetary aspects are sharing. And you could see it's quite in depth. There's layers to this. I also showed you how I added the planets together to figure out which ones were most aspected and least aspected, and the least aspected planets are going to be the favorable planets. Those are the places you want to visit to get that energy or to move if it's correct. If you have a lot of planets in your ninth, and or if you're having a transit in your ninth, Jupiter's there for the Scorpio risings right now. You got Jupiter in Cancer visiting your ninth house. That's exciting. Travel, have some fun, and, have some good experiences. Some good, I'm using the word good again. So, have some exploration with that Jupiter in Cancer for a year. And so that's what it is. If you guys have questions or comments, if that's not clear in any way, feel free to comment below and subscribe if you have not. And thank you so much for watching. And again, you could find this on my website, plutonicplanes.com, which it'll have the explanation of some explanation of the reading and the cost if you're interested in if you're planning to sell everything and move to South America and you're like, I don't know where I want to go in South America. Give me a call. We'll see where your lines are at. We'll see if, there's some places for you to explore. Okay, best to you guys. Hope you enjoyed. And that's it.